Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Aaron Porras, here with ILTV's Morning Briefing. According to nearly all intelligence reports coming out of Israel and the Middle East, Iran is building up its foothold in Syria, funding terror worldwide, and is escalating to what could only be a conflict. Despite the reports, however, the international community seems to be allowing it to happen, even stating emphatically that Iran is abiding by the rules applied to them in the JCPOA nuclear agreement signed by President Obama and the other P5+1 powers. Well, President Trump doesn't appear to buy it, and is allegedly now weighing a strategy that would allow more aggressive responses to Iranian movements. Though the White House declined to give details about the plan, a senior administration official said, quote, "I would call it a broad strategy for the range of Iranian malign activities, financial materials, support for terror, destabilization in the region, especially Syria and Iraq and Yemen," end quote. The proposed plan was reportedly put forward by Defense Secretary Jim Mattis, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster, and other high-ranking officials. President Trump is scheduled to review the proposal on Friday. 18 Egyptian policemen are now dead and another 3 injured, following an attack just over Israel's border yesterday. The Islamic State is claiming responsibility for the act of terrorism in Egypt's Sinai Peninsula. Security and medical sources claim the attack took place on the security convoy near Arish, which is the capital of the North Sinai province, and that 2 of those killed were officers. Islamic State militants managed to detonate an improvised explosive device, destroying 3 armored vehicles. The attack then turned into a gunfight with Islamic State fighters, injuring 4 ambulance workers in the crossfire. The Sunni militants have been waging an insurgency in the Sinai since 2013 and have killed hundreds of Egyptian security forces in the process. This is perhaps the second largest attack on Egyptian military personnel since July, when at least 23 Egyptian soldiers were killed by a series of suicide car bombs at 2 military checkpoints in the region. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has just touched down in Argentina, beginning an historic 10-day tour of Latin America. Argentinian President Mauricio Macri will be transferring the country's massive Holocaust archive over to the Jewish state, the beginning of a very busy tour for the Israeli Prime Minister. Shortly after landing in Buenos Aires, Netanyahu visited the site of the Israeli embassy that was bombed 25 years ago, as well as the Amia Jewish Community Building, the site of Argentina's worst terror attack in history. Netanyahu spoke with harsh words for Iran and Hezbollah, who are believed to be behind the 2 bombings. In addition to building new ties with Argentina for improving trade and tourism, Argentina's president is also expected to hand over nearly 150,000 never-before-seen documents from the Holocaust. These documents are believed to detail Argentina's participation in the final solution, as well as the country's role in helping fugitive Nazis hide after the war, including Adolf Eichmann, who found refuge in Buenos Aires until the Mossad captured and extradited him to Israel. Netanyahu will next meet with the president of Paraguay, then continue his tour to Colombia and then Mexico. It's the first anniversary since Nobel laureate and author Elie Wiesel passed away at the age of 87, and a large group of the people his stories have inspired are now banding together in his honor. The Limud FSU, March of the Living, the Claims Conference, and the Romanian Jewish community could be seen marching through the streets of Romania Sunday night, all under the banner "Anti-Semitism led to Auschwitz." The 1,000-plus marchers who gathered in Sighet, the city where Elie Wiesel is from, took to the streets in traditional Romanian peasant clothing and marched the same route that Wiesel and thousands of other Romanian Jews had to walk on the way to the trains that took them to Auschwitz during World War II. The streets were quiet and the procession somber. For those attending, though, which included both foreign and Romanian participants, it was everything they needed. Limud FSU founder Chaim Chesler, when speaking with the Times of Israel, said, "We are fulfilling Elie's dream by repeating this march between his house and the train station, and that this recognition by the locals, in addition to the supporters and admirers, was a vision of Elie's for a long time, and I'm very proud to help fulfill this." Israeli leaders like MK Yair Lapid and Social Equality Minister Gila Gamliel were also participating in the events that commemorate not just Wiesel, but the whole of the Romanian Jewish community, a community devastated by the Holocaust. In just a few short years, the Romanian Jewish population was decimated from 850,000 to just under 7,000 left to this day. It seems like United States President Donald Trump's dream of a wall on the Mexican border is closer than we thought, and an Israeli company may be the one helping that happen. Elta North America, a subsidiary of Israel Aerospace Industries, is now one of 4 companies asked to construct prototypes for the United States Smart Border Wall. Elta and each of the other 3 contenders will be receiving nearly $500,000 to construct the prototype, for the nearly 3,200-kilometer-long border. Though only one of the 4 companies is Israeli, and ELTA hasn't won the bid, President Trump has often pointed to the Israeli border fences as evidence of their worth. Trump cited the wall between Israel and Egypt for keeping out illegal immigrants, and of course the border along the West Bank that has prevented hundreds of attacks on Israeli civilians. ELTA, in fact, has a lot to do with that as well. ELTA manufactures radar systems and other sensor technology for both Israeli and American military equipment and vehicles. $3 billion for the wall is earmarked in the American budget for 2018, a third of which will go to the smart border system.
That's all for now. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.